So, 3rd canto, 15th chapter, description of kingdom of God. So, in the previous couple of verses, after the Kumaras cursed Jaya and Vijaya, the Supreme Lord personally appeared there with his consort and his associates. So, after seeing the Lord, Kumara started offering prayers unto the Lord, glorifying the Supreme Lord. So, this is a continuation of this verse. Today's verse, which we are going to discuss, is a continuation of their prayer to the Supreme Lord, and which is also almost end of this chapter, where the Vaikuntha planets, the opulence, and this narration of cursing of Kumaras, cursing of Jaya Vijaya by Kumaras is being described. So, in this verse, Kumaras are stating that persons, those who are expert and intelligent, they are not interested in even na atyantikam. Atyantikam means liberation, or a kind of highest happiness which a person can get in this world. So, highest happiness, as Prabhupada in the Purport mentions that, person, he tries for all dharma, artha, kāma, mokṣa. Why less intelligent persons, they perform any religious activities? Because they want some benefit from that religious activity. So, for anything or any activity they do, they want some benefit. They are expecting some reward from that. So, that is a dharma. So, artha comes, and then it is actually meant for sense gratification. Kāma. So, then when they understand that they cannot satisfy their senses by this process, they became frustrated, or they became completely disinterested from this process. Then they think of liberation. So, but whereas devotees, they are not even interested in this atyantikam, na atyantikam. They are not interested in this kind of sukha, in this kind of highest kind of pleasure which they can attain in this world. So then, whereas what devotees are interested then? They are interested in ye anga tadangri sharana bhavata kathaya kirtanya. So they take shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, tadangri sharana. Then after taking the shelter, what they do? Bhavata kathaya kirtanya. They want to hear more and more about the Supreme Lord, kathaya, his glories, and they chant his glories. Kirtanya. Kirtanya means a person, here Kirtanya means worth chanting. So about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So kathaya and kirtanya, they hear and they engage in hearing and chanting the activities of the Lord. So then, if they are not interested in this kind of liberation, then what to speak of any kind of material happiness? They don't even care for the material happiness. When they are not interested in liberation, what to speak of material happiness? Obviously, one who is engaged or one who is in this transcendental path, he clearly understands that material happiness is very insignificant compared to even liberation. So when devotees reject even liberation, so why they will take interest in some material activities or material pleasure? So this is the essence. This is the statement which Kumaras are making in this verse. So devotees, those who are, and because they are engaged in these auspicious activities of hearing and chanting the Lord, that's why they are called as, they are very expert and most intelligent. So that's what same thing Srimad Bhagavatam also states, that Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam Sango Pangastra Parshadam Yagnai Sankirtanai Prayer Yajantihi Sumedasaha. So here the word used is Kushala. Kushala means Kushala, expert. So those who are expert and intelligent. So they, what do? They take part in chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord. So that's what Srimad Bhagavatam says, Yagnai Sankirtanai Prayer. In this age of Kali, intelligent persons, Sumhedasaha, those who have good brain substance. Otherwise, opposite of Sumedha is Alpamedasa. So Sumedasa, what do the intelligent persons perform? Congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the name of Krishna. Although his complexion is basically referring to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's incarnation, although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. So those who are intelligent, they don't want to waste the time. They just want to take to the direct process, which is clearly and directly mentioned and yuga dharma of this Kali Yuga. They are not interested in any other process actually. So this glories on how a devotee develops interest towards this chanting and hearing the glories is being mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, where when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visits Jagannath Puri, so he faints in front of the Lord. Then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya carries him to his house. So then after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu regains his consciousness, and after some time when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya becomes little familiar with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so he thinks that, he's a very young boy, taken sannyas at a very young age, probably doesn't know what a sannyasi is supposed to do. So let me teach him the principles of sannyasa, or let me teach him what he's supposed to do. So he makes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sit and start explaining Vedanta philosophy. So for 7 continuous days, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya spoke Vedanta philosophy to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was patiently hearing without even uttering a single word. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya became little confused, doubtful. Only in 2 cases a person hears very submissively. Either when he is understanding fully or not understanding anything. In between, if it is there, he will ask some questions or he will have some kind of some response at least. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I hope you are understanding what I am talking. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I am able to understand Vedanta philosophy, but the way you are explaining, that I am not able to understand. So then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, then what according to you is the real explanation of the Vedanta philosophy? Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu starts speaking. So first he starts explanation with the Atmarama verse. He explains in 18 different meanings of that Atmarama verse. So from then even Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya started developing interested in the explanation which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started giving. So then towards the end of that, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya became convinced of the explanation of the Vedanta philosophy by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He understands that yes, Supreme Lord is person. Absolute truth is a person, not an impersonal. So when this understanding is clear, then in that same chapter, it's mentioned in the Madhya Leela, towards the end of the chapter, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he starts, whatever he heard, he starts repeating to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu once again. Means another further discussion happens between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in that verse, one place, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had to stop Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So that incident I'll just read out. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after hearing, he used to come, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya used to come in front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and start some discussion on Vedanta philosophy. One day he came and he recited one verse in front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that was the verse which Brahmaji has offered prayers to the Lord in Srimad Bhagavatam, very famous verse, Tattenu Kampa Susamikshamana. So the verse, what Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya quotes is, Tattenu Kampa Susamikshamana Bunjana Evatma Kritam Vipakam Rudvak Vapurbir Vidadan Namaste Jiveta Yo Bhakti Padesa Dayabak. Are you able to differentiate what is the thing which Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya has altered? Mukti Pada. So generally the original verse which Brahmaji has offered is, he says, Jiveta Yo Mukti Pada Sadhayabak. But here Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya chants that Jiveta Yo Bhakti Pada Sadhayabak. Instead of Mukti Pada, he tells Bhakti Pada. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately stops. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately pointed out, in that verse, the word is Mukti Pada, but why you have changed it to Bhakti Pada? What is your intention? Then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya replied, the awakening of the pure love of Godhead, which is the result of devotional service, far surpasses liberation from material bondage. For those averse to the devotional service, merging into Brahman effulgence is kind of punishment. Mukti is a very famous word in the Mayavada school, because they want to merge into the effulgence of the Brahman. They want to completely, they want to end this material body, material life, and they want to go and merge into the Brahman effulgence, which is of no variety, no variegatedness. Because why do they want to do that? In the previous classes, we even heard in the previous verses also, it is mentioned. Because they see that all the miserable conditions which they are experiencing, all the pains and pleasure they are experiencing is because of this body. So they understand, according to them, The root cause of all such miseries is this body. So let us finish this body. That's why they are afraid of taking any other form. They want to be formless. So similarly, they also consider, yes, Supreme Lord is also formless. Form means it's a source of miseries. Lot of problems with the form, with the body. So that's why Mukti Pada is famous in the Mayavada school. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu association, he has become devotee. So he changed it to Bhakti Pada. Then further, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is continuing. The impersonalists who do not accept the transcendental form of Lord Sri Krishna and demons who are always engaged in blaspheming and fighting with him are punished by being merging into the Brahman effulgence. But that does not happen to the person engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. Even in that short duration of life, so such a maybe a couple of days of association with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his understanding is completely changed now. He doesn't even want to use those words which generally popularly used in Mayavada school. Then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says, there are 5 kinds of liberation: Salokya, Samipya, Sarupya, Sasti and Sāyujya, which Prabhupada in the Purport also has explained. So least among them is Sāyujya, merging into the impersonal effulgence, merging into the effulgence of the Lord. So then other 4 are there. So here Prabhupada mentions that devotees are not interested even in those 4 also. Why? Because they want constant association, constant service unto the Supreme Lord. They are not happy just by going into the Vaikuntha planets or having the form same as that of the Supreme Lord, that is Sarupya, and then always be near the Lord, Samipya, as a servant, as an eternal associate of the Lord. Devotees doesn't even desire for that. But here Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says, if there is a chance to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a pure devotee sometimes accepts Salokya, Sarupya, Samipya or Sasti, forms of liberation, but never Sāyujya. So a pure devotee doesn't like even to hear about Sāyujya Mukti, which inspires him with fear and hatred. Indeed, the pure devotee would rather go to hell than merge into the effulgence of the Lord. Why he prefers to go to the hell rather than merging? Because merging is not something, this is not material. That's also a spiritual platform. That's also a transcendental platform. Then why devotees hate of that condition? Next, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya explains. There are 2 kinds of Sāyujya Mukti, merging into the Brahman effulgence and merging into the personal body of the Lord. Merging into the Lord's body is even more abominable than merging into his effulgence. So that's why devotees hate even this impersonal realization or Sāyujya Mukti. Then finally, even though he is offered all kinds of liberation, the pure devotee does not accept them. He is fully satisfied in engaging in the service of the Lord. He is happy in being engaged in Kathaya Kirtanya, by hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. Because they know that the danger of even going into that. Ultimately, devotee understands that the impersonal realization has no permanent place there. A devotee, one who has attained that, or any yogi or any transcendentalist one who has attained that stage, he cannot permanently remain there. He has to come back. There is no other option. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replies, after hearing Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's explanation, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, the word Mukti Pada has another meaning. Mukti Pada directly refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All kinds of liberation exist under the feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining what is the actual meaning of Mukti Pada. Mukti Pada is not just impersonal liberation. Mukti Pada means the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, which provides all kinds of liberation. So that's the meaning of Mukti Pada. He is known as Mukti Pada. According to another meaning, Mukti is the 9th subject and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the shelter of liberation. There are 10 different subjects which are discussed in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So in that, 9th subject is Mukti. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, don't just hate the word Mukti or just eliminate the word Mukti, because it is mentioned even in Srimad Bhagavatam. It's one of the subject matter discussed in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and Krishna being tenth subject, which is ashraya, sammam bonam. So that is, Supreme Personality of Godhead is the shelter of liberation. Even the liberation goes and takes shelter at the Lord's lotus feet. That's how Lord is able to give any kind of liberation to the devotees. So since I can understand Krishna according to these two meanings, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, what point is there in changing the verse? So don't change, because Mukti Pada and Bhakti Pada, there is no difference. There is no much difference in between these two words. So although your explanation is correct, it should not be used because there is ambiguity in the word, because in the Mukti Pada. Just because there is an ambiguity, even Mayavadis use, don't just skip that word. The word Mukti refers to 5 kinds of liberation, but its direct meaning usually conveys the idea of becoming one with the Lord. The very sound of the word Mukti immediately induces hate and fear, but when we say the word Bhakti, we naturally feel transcendental bliss within the mind. Upon hearing this explanation, the Lord began to laugh and with great pleasure immediately embraced Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya very firmly. So the Lord became happy. Why? Because Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was such a great scholar of Mayavada school. So now in that very short duration, he has become devotee. So Lord became happy and he embraced Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So this is the effect of association of pure devotees. What association of pure devotee itself is so great, then what to speak of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's association, where directly one is able to associate with the Lord, take guidance from Him. So there is no other chance other than to become a devotee of the Lord. So that's what in this verse Kumaras are saying, that this is what every devotee should be doing, engaged in hearing and chanting of the Supreme Lord, because by those activities one can firmly fix himself in the process of devotional service. Prabhupada, towards the end of this purport, Prabhupada mentions, it is stated therefore that only when all contamination is rooted out and devotee is completely detached from material attractions can he receive the mercy of the Lord. So two things. One is when he is completely rooted out of all contamination, completely cleansed, and then completely detached from material attachments, then only he will be able to attain the Lord. So then how, being in the midst of in this world, material world, where every step there is a danger, padam padam yat vipadam. So then how we can actually become detached from these material attractions and develop attachment to Krishna? Only process is chanting and hearing. There is no other process. Even if a neophyte devotee, if he just takes these statements and follows seriously, there is no danger of fall down. So once one interviewer had come, so he was interviewing Srila Prabhupada. So in between, to help the interviewer to make him understand Krishna consciousness more better, so a follower of Prabhupada, even he was not an initiated devotee as such. His name is Mohsin Hassan. He was a scholar, so he was working on some translation of the books, as well as writing some, because he was a scholar. So if he writes a review on the Prabhupada books, it's easily accepted in the general mass. So he was writing. So he had also come to hear from Prabhupada, understand more, so that he can properly write. So then in the midst of the interview, he asked a question to Prabhupada, that what if someone deviates from your teaching? Basically, the discussion was basics of Krishna consciousness. Then interviewer asked a question about how all these Americans, Europeans, how they are able to detach from this all material attachments, and how they are surrendering to you, following all the principles. So then Prabhupada explains that, chanting and hearing process, all those sadhana bhakti. Then he asks a question, okay, whoever is following is okay, but what if someone deviates from your teachings after coming to Krishna consciousness? He is not able to practice properly, or maybe he deviates from the path. What will happen? So very beautifully Prabhupada answers. Prabhupada answers in one statement, but it has two understandings of that. So Prabhupada says, there is no loss. This I was explaining because it is spiritual science. Anything spiritual, that is eternal. It is never lost or destroyed. Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. Or swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayato mahato bayat. So there is no loss. So whatever they have learned, that is the basis for other learning. Suppose they cannot finish the total program, then they will get another chance to begin in the human form. So practically there is no loss. As ordinary beings, whatever they are creating in this life, after giving up this body, everything is lost. But this Krishna consciousness, even it is not completed, whatever they have learned, that will go on with them because it is spiritual, it will not be destroyed. So the first part of the Prabhupada statement was that, okay, even if they deviate from the path, there is no loss. So why? Because they are given a second chance. So then, first part is done. Second part, when Prabhupada is answering to his thing. Second part, Prabhupada is saying, but they are being trained up to finish the course and program within this life, not to wait for the next life. Yes, there is a chance given. He will be given a second chance. He may be born in a very good family, aristocratic family, or a devotee family. That's what Shastras say, second chance. But whereas Prabhupada is saying, there is no question of waiting for the next life. They are being trained like that. That is the entire process, that is the entire intention of this movement. That is our goal. They have got the regulative principles that you must follow, that no illicit sex, no intoxication, no meat eating, no gambling, and chanting in a prescribed method of Hare Krishna mantra, taking only Krishna Prasad, and be 24 hours engaged in Krishna's service. So Prabhupada explained about regulative principles, chanting, and third thing is being 24 hours engaged in Krishna's service. So you will find whenever you will come to our temple, you will find they are busy with something. Similarly, we are simply busy with Krishna business. We try to remember Krishna 24 hours. That is our method. So this method of religious prescription, I think you will not find in any other religious sect. At least in Western world, you will not find. You won't find 24 hours they are engaged, 24 hours they are engaged. So Prabhupada is assuring that if someone is engaged in this path, there is no question of even fall down. That's what here in this purport, it is mentioned that sometimes demigods may fall down, but devotee doesn't fall down. That's what here it was mentioned. Oh, sorry, I was referring to wrong. A devotee is never interested in such temporary pleasure. From Vedic scripture, it is understood that sometimes even Brahma and Indra fall down, but a devotee in the transcendental abode of the Lord never falls. Even though we know Yadgatvana Nivartante Tadhama Parama Mama, in spite of that, devotees may fall down, but Prabhupada here is mentioning that even Brahma and Indra may fall down, but devotees in the transcendental world, they will not fall down. They'll never fall down. This transcendental stage of life in which one feels transcendental pleasure in hearing the Lord's pastimes is also recommended by Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya was talking with Ramananda Rai, and there were varieties of suggestions offered by Ramananda regarding spiritual realization, but Lord Chaitanya rejected all but one, that one should hear the glories of the Lord in association with pure devotees. So even Brahma and Indra may fall down, but not the devotees. Why? That's what Prabhupada is saying. They are being trained up like that, not to take any second chance, not to wait for one more birth. In this very life, if they are engaged following the regulative principles, engaged in chanting, and 24 hours engaged in Krishna's service, nothing else. If you recollect last Satyagaur Prabhu's visit in the association, Prabhu mentioned for a devotee to successfully be a brahmachari or to be a devotee, two things are very important. One is his curiosity should be checked. That means he should understand what is his scope of work, scope of area, and limit to that. His curiosity should be checked. Second thing is he should be fully engaged. That's what Prabhupada is mentioning here. That if one is fully engaged, even there is no question of fall down, never fall down. That's what Prabhupada is mentioning. He will not fall down. That he will not deviate from his path. So then there is no question of waiting for another life. Entire business is finished in one life. One has to be cautious. So that's very, very important is this engagement. Mind, if it is engaged properly, mind will become a best friend. If not, worst enemy. So the moment a devotee feels that, I'm little free now, so the Maya will come. Haribol, looks like you are busy, knock, knock. So Maya will knock on the door. So one has to be busy. So then there is no question. That's what Prabhupada is referring to here. That, we have to be very careful, conscious. Once, this is in 1977, in the October month. So we all know that it was just a month before Prabhupada left this world, left this material body. So all the GBCs were called to Vrindavan. So any moment Prabhupada may leave. So anyone wants to take any clarifications, guidance or association, benefit of Prabhupada's association, so they can come. So all the GBCs were called. So Giriraj Swami also had come from Bombay. So then one day he thought that, let me go to darshan. So he went into the Vrindavan Parikrama, he went into Goswami temple's darshan. He became late. Otherwise, generally everyone, they will be waiting near Prabhupada quarters. They will be, because 24 hours Kirtan used to go on in Prabhupada's room. So, but that day he did not go to meet Prabhupada. Since afternoon, he was in the darshan. He comes and he goes and sleeps on that old Gurukula building. Now it is demolished. So that Gurukula rooftop, he goes and he sleeps there. So when he was sleeping, at around 12 o'clock, one of the Prabhupada servant, he start running around to find where is Giriraj Maharaj. It's at 12 o'clock in the night. So he asks someone, he tells, second one, third one, fourth one. Finally he reaches Giriraj Swami, who was sleeping on the terrace of Krishna Balram temple, Gurukula building. So then he wakes him up and he tells, Prabhupada is calling you. So just imagine, Prabhupada health is very deteriorating, is in a very bad shape. So anyone receives such short notice and that emergency notice, what he will think? Oh, something might be wrong. So he, at once his heartbeat stops, but he, with some courage, he goes to Prabhupada's room. So then he sees Prabhupada is lying on the bed and Prabhupada wanted to talk. So he became a little relieved. He goes to Prabhupada, but he was still anxious. What Prabhupada wants to talk to me at the 12 o'clock in the midnight? Then Prabhupada called him near. Then Prabhupada asks him, do you think this moment will go on after I leave this body? Yes, Prabhupada, of course, there is no doubt. Provided if you follow all the principles, provided if you chant properly, provided we are engaged in service properly. Prabhupada says, yes. Then Prabhupada tells, intelligence and organization. 2 words Prabhupada utters, intelligence and organization. Very famous. Chanchalapati Prabhu, couple of lectures he has explained this. That's what, and Prabhupada keeps quiet. Giriraj Swami started thinking what Prabhupada actually meant. What is the meaning of intelligence and organization? Then Prabhupada says, do you want to ask anything else? Giriraj Swami Prabhupada only had called, so he didn't had anything to ask. So he just left the room from there. So then he started contemplating. Whole night he could not sleep. How can he sleep? Midnight Prabhupada is giving some instructions. So then intelligence and organization. Then he was referring to Prabhupada want us to be very organized, very intelligent. And he also was thinking Prabhupada actually is referring to something more than this. Not just intelligence, not just organization abilities. Something more is required. So that's what he started contemplating. So similarly, around the same time, during the Prabhupada in Vrindavan in October, November, so it was in the afternoon, around 3:30, between 3:30 and 4. So because every time either chanting would be going on or Srimad Bhagavatam or Krishna book reading will be going on, or sometime if Prabhupada is feeling better, they would ask Prabhupada to dictate Srimad Bhagavatam, the 10th canto, 14th chapter, which Prabhupada was translating. So then Prabhupada asked if the temple bell had rung the hour. If you have seen Vrindavan temple, even now in the entrance towards the left, there is a bell, which it is there from Prabhupada's time, and Prabhupada had strictly instructed that every hour corresponding to that hour, those many times the bell should be rung, and for every half an hour once it should rung. If it is four times it should rung. So that was a system. So some Prabhupada was so conscious, Prabhupada was so wanted that to happen, that once in the midnight when Prabhupada was translating, it was much before, in 1971 or 72, or maybe after the temple inauguration. In the midnight, the temple security did not ring the bell. 12 o'clock means it's supposed to be rung 12 times, right? So Prabhupada sends his servant to call the temple president. So I think Akshayananda Swami was the temple president. Prabhupada blasted him like anything. Prabhupada says, Prabhupada, I tried so much to get a good alert security guard, but I'm not able to get who can be awake whole night. Prabhupada says, I don't want anything. I don't want any of these explanations. I want every hour at corresponding time, the bell should be rung. So here again, Prabhupada, it's in the afternoon. Prabhupada is asking. So at first, the temple president had been unable to get a watchman who would remain awake through the night and ring the bell regularly. But Srila Prabhupada had insisted so strongly that temple management had finally established the bell ringing. So for Srila Prabhupada, it was more than just a good standard. It was a symbol of entire temple management's effectiveness. If they could not even arrange that the bell be rung regularly, then how could they manage everything else? So Srila Prabhupada was saying, he thought that he heard the bell ring at the wrong time. Prabhupada is saying, मैंने गलत समय पे घंटी बजते हुए सुना. Devotee says, no, Prabhupada, it is still not at 4. It has not yet rung. Probably you would have heard some other bell ringing. Then Prabhupada says, no, I think I heard it, but at wrong time they have rung the bell. Then just to satisfy Prabhupada, Harisori goes out. The moment he gets up and starts going out of the quarters, then 1, 2, 3, 4, bell rang. So that was actually correct time that bell rang. So then Prabhupada became happy that, things are still going on. So then Prabhupada says, that is my concern, that such a huge establishment is properly managed. If not properly managed, then everything will be finished. Even a small thing, what is there ringing the bell at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, why it is so important? But what principle Prabhupada was suggesting was that entire management, entire devotees community should be awake. They should be careful. They should be effective. Then, I don't think that that's going to happen, said Tamal Krishna. When Prabhupada said that if not managed properly, then everything will be finished. Then Tamal Krishna Maharaj is replying, I don't think that that's going to happen, Prabhupada. We are too much indebted to you to allow what you have established to become spoiled. Definitely we will not allow that to be spoiled, whatever you have established. Then Prabhupada says, please see to that. So in that way, what Prabhupada wanted was that through all these simple things, a devotee has to be very conscious. Even a small incident like ringing a bell, what it is connected to Krishna consciousness, it is connected to Krishna consciousness. That means effectiveness, alertness of the management. When it comes to devotee's personal life, alertness. That's what Prabhupada, how a devotee should maintain his life, Prabhupada gives a word, suyantritaha. Yantra means machine. Suyantrita means well-managed machine. So how a well-managed machine runs? Properly, without any fail. If the preventive maintenance is nicely going on, so machine will work properly. Similarly, devotee should be like a machine. Properly maintained machine. It should never stop. It keep working properly in a good condition. That's what Prabhupada is expecting from devotees. And if you are alert, if you are conscious, then there is no chance for Maya to come and spoil our devotional life. Then there is no question of taking second birth. So there is no question of waiting for one more life, that second chance will be given. I'll complete my spiritual journey in the second path. No, it's not like that. In that very life, you can go back to Godhead, and after going, there is an opportunity where we will never fall down, provided we are conscious every time, each and every minute. If you are very conscious, then things will work. Things will go on very nicely. So in this is what in this verse it is mentioned. Kumaras are glorifying that devotees, they are not interested in anything else. Why? Because they have already attained higher taste. Param društva nivartate. Rasavarjam rasopriyasya param društva nivartate. One who has already developed higher taste, for him to give up the lower taste is not at all difficult. But for that, so generally people in this world, they are hankered to, everyone wants to come out of their weaknesses. Everyone wants to come out of their, no one wants to do any mistakes or sinful life. But they don't know how to come out of that. They will try all methods, n number of methods. But the actual method, as what Srimad Bhagavatam tells, is that one should not try to give up the lower taste. One should try to develop the higher taste. So naturally, he will become free from the lower taste. So in that way, he becomes easily fixed in Krishna consciousness. Controlling the senses, controlling the mind, disentangling oneself from the material association. Yes, all these things we have to be careful. But to give up that particularly is not easy. That's why become devotee of Krishna. Engage yourself 24 hours in the service of Krishna. Rest, everything becomes easy. Automatically it is done. With this, I'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanandi.